My audience.
The flu vaccine. Every year, thousands of people visit the doctor's office with complaints of fevers, cold sweats, aches, and pains that seem to last for days, even weeks. The diagnosis is something we are all well acquainted with, the flu. The flu vaccine's unique structure works to protect against multiple strands of the flu, as well as protect against more serious health complications associated with the virus. The virus is extremely detrimental to children and the elderly, as well as adults with previous illnesses or weakened immune systems. The National Network for Immunization Information, or NNII, finds that on average, influenza virus infections can cause approximately 36,000 deaths and 148,000 hospitalizations each year in the U.S. These pros and cons of the vaccine make it something that, while being extremely useful and largely helpful, can also be ineffective or even dangerous if taken incorrectly. Let's begin with describing how the vaccine works against multiple strands of the flu. There are three major types of influenza virus strands: A, B, and C. The most common flu vaccine, the one that is distributed to millions each year, covers these three strands. The particular three-strand format was created in 1938 by Jonas Salk and Thomas Francis. Dr. Charles Patrick Davis believes that during this time, vaccines were less purified and had more side effects than the shot used now. These symptoms typically led people to believe they got the flu from the vaccination, giving it the bad reputation of being faulty that it has today. Because the virus changes often, every year the vaccine is remade according to the anticipated changes by the Center for Disease Control, or CDC. However, sometimes there are exceptions when the vaccine does not cover the most recent strand of the flu. Each strand of the virus can mutate and develop into something new altogether. An animal strand of the flu can change its molecular makeup and cross over into human hosts. This happened in 2009 when a new strand of the flu that contained genetic information from avian, swine, and human flu viruses became a pandemic. Because the virus originated from three different types of hosts, humans were very susceptible. Forbes magazine explained in October of that year that despite the accelerated test and production processes, vaccination could not be distributed quickly enough to stop the massive outbreaks. The shortage meant that the available vaccines were saved for high-risk patients. While administering the flu vaccine is typically a physician's job, during states of emergencies like this one, pharmacists at larger corporations like CVS and Walgreens were contracted to distribute the much-needed injection. Because the 2009 shortage was declared as a national state of emergency, the CDC began handing out whatever doses there were without charging, making the vaccine free in some areas as opposed to the typical $18 to $20 it can usually run. This specific strand was more detrimental to children and pregnant women, with a smaller section of adults being affected. In fact, a study called A History of Vaccines performed by the College of Physicians of Philadelphia found that 90% of deaths from H1N1 were in people under the age of 65. This is opposite from the more common strands of the flu, where 90% of deaths are in senior citizens. Although medicine has dramatically advanced since 1938, due to the unpredictable and changing nature of the virus, it may never be 100% perfect. If the vaccine does not accurately match the strand affecting the population that year, it can cause pandemic-level shortages, altering the distribution and allocation of the vaccine. Also, the vaccine can prevent secondary conditions leading to other fatal illnesses, such as an enlarged liver and swelling of the brain, just to name a few. While infecting your body, the flu travels to various body parts. If it reaches the throat and sinuses, it produces cold-like symptoms. However, if it manages to bypass the body's natural defense mechanisms and reach the lungs, pneumonia is the result. BodyandHealth.com even goes as far as to credit the flu virus and other viruses like it for being a major cause of pneumonia, especially in children who excel at spreading germs. These viruses cause about 50% of all pneumonia cases. This being said, the flu virus isn't the only thing making people sick. The vaccine itself has been known to make a few underlying medical conditions worse. The CDC compiled a list of those who are at risk of developing complications from the vaccine, including people with asthma, lung disease, liver and kidney disorders, weakened immune systems, and those who are morbidly obese, amongst others. Both the flu and the vaccine can cause complications, so it is very important to get solid medical advice before getting the injection. In conclusion, while the vaccine is unique in the sense that it protects against multiple viruses, it is not always 100% effective. The vaccine does work to protect against flu complications such as pneumonia, but it can be dangerous for those who already have health issues. In order to better be prepared, do further research before the next flu season and weigh the pros and cons of getting the vaccine. Although they are not perfect, vaccines are an amazing and complicated tool that can really show how far medical science has come in the last century.